A 26-year-old diamond bachelor was being pressured by his family to get married. He was set up on a blind date with a beautiful police officer, and they had a whirlwind marriage a month later. On their wedding night, she received a call from the police station and left. At first, I was very understanding of her work. After all, her job was special. But gradually, I was left feeling neglected. 3 months into the marriage, we hadn't even consummated it. An incident caused our emotions to erupt, and we had a huge fight. I asked for a divorce, but she regretted it. Jiang Muge stood at the entrance of the cafe, checking the address on his phone for the third time. In his 26 years of life, Jiang Muge had never imagined he would be forced into a blind date, especially since he wasn't short on money at all. He'd wake up naturally every day, play games or watch movies when bored, and occasionally meet up with friends for a drink. Life couldn't be more comfortable. Just then, his phone vibrated. His mother's name flashed on the screen. "Hello, Muge. Have you arrived yet? Officer Lin is very punctual. You can't keep her waiting too long." I'm here, right at the door," Jiang Muge replied helplessly. "Mom, I really don't get why you're in such a hurry. I'm only 26. I have a car, a house, and money. What kind of girl can't I find? Enough nonsense." His mother's voice suddenly sharpened. "Is it such a hardship for you to go on a blind date? Officer Lin was introduced by your Auntie Wang. She's a real detective from the Public Security Bureau, with a stable job and a reliable character. Besides, you're already 26, and you've never even been in a serious relationship. All you do at home is eat and sleep all day. How does that look?" This time, Jiang Muge understood. She probably wanted to find him a strict wife to keep him in line. All right, I get it. Say no more. I'm going to talk to the young lady now." After hanging up, Jiang Muge sighed and pushed open the cafe's glass door. The early March weather still carried a chill, but inside the cafe, it was as warm as spring. He glanced around, his eyes quickly locking onto a figure by the window. Lin Ruoxue had sent Jiang Muge her table number in advance, so he spotted her immediately. It wasn't because of any stunning looks, but rather a unique aura. She was wearing a blue turtleneck sweater and a white long skirt, her hair tied back in a neat, short ponytail. "Hello, are you Lin Ruoxue by any chance?" Jiang Muge asked in a gentle voice as he approached the table. The woman looked up. Only then did Jiang Muge get a clear look at her. Fair skin, delicate features, light makeup, and a pair of eyes that were exceptionally bright and sharp, as if they could see right through a person's heart. Jiang Muge. Her voice was more pleasant than he had expected, yet it carried a business-like tone. "Have a seat." Jiang Muge pulled out a chair and sat down, his gaze falling on the half-finished Americano in front of her. "Looks like she got here pretty early," Jiang Muge thought to himself. "Order whatever you want," Lin Ruoxue said, pushing the menu towards him with a crisp, efficient motion. "I have half an hour of break time left." Jiang Muge took the menu and ordered a full sugar latte. Seeing that the preliminaries were over, Lin Ruoxue began to speak. "I'll get straight to the point. I've learned the basics about you from Auntie Wang. Graduated from the Communication University, seized the opportunity of the e-commerce live streaming boom while you were a student and made your fortune. After graduation, you started a media company, sold it after 3 years, and are now in a state of semi-retirement. Is there anything you want to know about me?" No. To be precise, it wasn't that there was nothing, but rather that Jiang Muge simply didn't care about this blind date. "Then let me tell you a bit about myself," Lin Ruoxue began, launching into her introduction. "I'm currently the deputy captain of the Municipal Public Security Bureau's Criminal Investigation Division. I live in the Bureau-assigned dormitory, and I don't have a car. I'm dedicated to my work and don't really have any hobbies." Jiang Muge gave a slight nod after she finished. That's good." A brief silence fell between them. Jiang Muge took his coffee from the waiter, wondering how to proceed with this clearly awkward blind date. To his surprise, Lin Ruoxue spoke first. "I think you're quite nice. We could try seeing each other." Jiang Muge was floored. He hadn't said a thing. How could she possibly think he was nice? "I am," Jiang Muge asked, bewildered. "Yes, you are. That's how blind dates work. If it seems okay, you give it a try. If not, you end it quickly," Lin Ruoxue said, taking a sip of her coffee. She set down her coffee and asked, "So what do you think of me?" "You're very nice, too." Jiang Muge stammered out a non-committal compliment. Then let's try seeing each other for a while, Lin Ruoxiu said. Huh, all right. For some reason, as if by some strange compulsion, Jiang Muge found himself agreeing. Little did he know what would happen 1 month later. 1 month later, Jiang Muge and Lin Ruoxiu were standing in the photo booth at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Come on, the gentleman and the lady, a little closer. At the instruction, Jiang Muge and Lin Ruoxiu shuffled closer together. In this 1 month, they had met a total of 8 times. 3 times, Lin Ruoxiu had come to Jiang Muge's place for dinner. Twice, Jiang Muge had gone to Lin Ruoxiu's place for dinner. Twice, Jiang Muge had gone to the Public Security Bureau to bring her a late-night snack. And once, they had gone to a movie together. Getting their marriage certificate was the 9th time they had ever met. Today, Lin Ruoxiu was in her police uniform, while Jiang Muge had put on a custom-made suit he'd bought for a previous job. Smile, it's your big day, look happy, the middle-aged photographer instructed. A short while later, they walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, holding their freshly issued marriage certificates. Just like that, we're married? Jiang Muge stared at the little red booklet in his hand, feeling a sense of unreality. Lin Ruoxiu tucked the certificate into her bag. What's wrong? Having regrets? Not all, Jiang Muge said, scratching his head. It's just, this feels too fast. It's all right, Lin Ruoxiu said, linking her arm through his. We could take our time after the wedding. Jiang Muge was clearly not used to this. After all, he had just married a woman he'd met on a blind date less than 2 months ago. Lin Ruoxiu suddenly reached out and adjusted his collar. The intimate gesture made Jiang Muge freeze. It's okay. I like you a lot. I wouldn't have married you otherwise. This was the first time Lin Ruoxiu had said she liked him. A warmth spread through Jiang Muge's chest, and he was about to say something. Suddenly, Lin Ruoxiu's phone rang. She answered it, her expression immediately turning serious. Right, I'm on my way. A case. Jiang Muge was already used to these sudden interruptions. In a month they had been seeing each other, Lin Ruoxiu had bailed on him like this more than once. The one time they went to the movies was only because a case she was working on had just closed, granting her half a day off. Lin Ruoxiu nodded. Yes, a serial burglary case. We found a new lead. She then paused for a moment before adding, So, you head home first? I'll head back after I'm done with work. All right, Jiang Muge agreed. The home, Lin Ruoxiu spoke of, was an apartment they had bought together. It was newly renovated, intended to be their marital home. A flash of guilt crossed Lin Ruoxiu's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by her professional composure. I'll take you. Okay. The wedding was set for 2 weeks later. It was a small, intimate ceremony with only a few close relatives and friends invited. On the day of the wedding, Lin Ruoxiu wore formal makeup, a rare occasion for her. In a simple white wedding dress, she looked both beautiful and competent. Jiang Muge, in a suit and tie, was much more formal than usual. Guided by the officiant, they completed the ceremony and accepted the blessings of their friends and family. Throughout the entire process, Lin Ruoxiu maintained a perfect smile. Jiang Muge, though a little awkward, cooperatively went through with it. At 10 o'clock that night, after everything was done, the two finally returned home. The moment they arrived, Lin Ruoxiu kicked off her high heels and collapsed onto the sofa. So tired, Jiang Muge loosened his tie and, with a smile, handed her a glass of water. It's been a long day for you. Lin Ruoxiu took the glass, their fingers briefly touching. She looked up at Jiang Muge, her eyes holding a softness he had never seen before. Thank you. We're husband and wife now, Jiang Muge said, tentatively sitting down beside her. No need for thanks. Lin Ruoxiu didn't pull away. The atmosphere in the room suddenly grew quiet. Jiang Muge slowly reached out an arm, wrapped it around her waist, and pulled her closer. Lin Ruoxiu leaned into him, slowly closing her eyes. He lowered his head, about to press his lips to hers, when Lin Ruoxiu's phone suddenly rang. Her eyes flew open. She grabbed her phone and answered the call. Hello, what is it? Jiang Muge saw her expression turn serious in an instant and knew he was being stood up. Okay, I'll be right there. Lin Ruoxiu hung up and looked at Jiang Muge apologetically. There's been a homicide in the South District. I have to go to the station. So, Jiang Muge tried to hide his disappointment. It's fine. I'll drive you. No need. I'll just get a cab. The bureau will reimburse me. You must be tired too, Lin Ruoxue said, already walking toward the door. Are you sure you don't want me to take you? I'm sure. You should stay home and get some rest. Lin Ruoxue had already changed into her sneakers and opened the door. Sorry. Don't wait up for me tonight. Just go to sleep. With that, Lin Ruoxue was gone, not even giving Jiang Muge time to reply. Jiang Muge washed up as well, then sat on the sofa to wait for her, gradually drifting off to sleep. And so, the wedding night passed. The next morning, Jiang Muge was awakened by the sound of the lock turning. You're back. He sat up groggily and looked toward Lin Ruoxue at the entrance. Lin Ruoxue looked up at him. Her face was pale, with dark circles under her eyes. Yeah, she said, her voice small and clearly exhausted. We pulled an all-nighter. Finally caught the suspect. Lin Ruoxue walked to the sofa and immediately lay down. So sleepy. I'm just going to sleep for a bit. Before she could finish, her eyes were closed, and her steady breathing filled the silence. Jiang Muge sat on the other end of the sofa, watching his new wife fall asleep like that, and couldn't help but sigh inwardly. He carefully took off her coat and shoes, then gently wiped her face and hands with a damp towel. After he had done all this, Jiang Muge fetched a blanket from the bedroom and covered her with it. This marriage is no different from not being married at all, he said to himself. It had been 3 months and 7 days since they got married. Jiang Muge was lying on the sofa, watching a boring TV show. The rain pattered outside the window. He couldn't remember how many consecutive days Lin Ruoxue had been away from home. 7 days or 8. Jiang Muge hadn't bothered to keep track. After all, what was the use in remembering? It wouldn't change the fact that she wasn't home. Jiang Muge turned over and stretched. Suddenly, he heard the sound of a key turning in the lock. Lin Ruoxue was back. Jiang Muge slipped on his slippers and walked to the entryway. You're back. Lin Ruoxue replied wearily. I'm going to take a shower first. I've been at the station this whole time and haven't showered. I must stink. Okay. A while later, the sound of water stopped. The bathroom door opened, and a cloud of hot steam, fragrant with the scent of shower gel, billowed out. Lin Ruoxue walked out, drying her hair, wearing a white silk slip dress. Honey, can you blow-dry my hair for me? Jiang Muge turned off the TV, went into the bedroom, and sat on the bed to blow-dry her hair. Waves of fragrance wafted from her hair into his nostrils. Jiang Muge couldn't tell if it was the shampoo or her own natural scent. Lin Ruoxue sat in his lap, on her phone, chatting with a colleague from the station about the day's case. After her hair was dry, Lin Ruoxue immediately lay down with her back to him. Jiang Muge turned off the light and wrapped his arms around her from behind. Lin Ruoxue didn't resist. She turned over and kissed his lips. When they broke the kiss, Lin Ruoxue said suddenly, the suspect confessed. The station gave me 2 days off, so tonight. Really? Jiang Muge was surprised. It was the longest vacation he'd heard her talk about since they were married. It's true, Lin Ruoxue affirmed. Jiang Muge's breath hitched. For 3 months, their intimacy had been limited to occasional hugs and shallow kisses. Every time he had tried to take things further, she had always turned him down, saying she was too tired or too busy. Gradually, he stopped bringing it up. May I? Jiang Muge asked in a low voice, his hands tentatively moving down from her waist. Lin Ruoxue didn't answer, but simply kissed him. This kiss was more passionate than any before. Just as Jiang Muge rolled over to press her beneath him, a shrill ringtone shattered the tender moment. Lin Ruoxue's body tensed. Out of habit, Jiang Muge moved off her to let her answer the phone. Hello. Lin Ruoxue answered the phone, her voice already restored to its professional calm, though her breathing still carried a hint of passion. Jiang Muge lay on his back on the bed. He didn't need to listen to know what would come next. Okay, no problem. I'll be right there. It's fine, no bother at all. After hanging up, Lin Ruoxue gave Jiang Muge a peck on the face. Sorry, the captain just said the suspect has an accomplice. I have to go in again. It won't take long. I'll be back soon. It's fine. With Jiang Muge's understanding, Lin Ruoxue hurriedly got out of bed and changed her clothes. Then came the sound of a door opening and closing, and she was gone again. Jiang Muge lay alone on the bed, which still held Lin Ruoshua's warmth and the scent of her shower gel. He stared at the ceiling, suddenly overcome with an immense fatigue. This time, he didn't even feel disappointed, just numb. He waited just like that until 2 in the morning. Lin Ruoshua still hadn't come back. Not even a phone call, not a single message. Outside the window, it was pitch black. The rain had stopped. Jiang Muge suddenly found the house terrifyingly quiet. He threw on a jacket and decided to go out for a walk. A late-night food stall on the street was still lit, its owner clearing away leftover barbecue and empty beer bottles from the last customers. Jiang Muge ordered 2 beers and some barbecue, sitting on a plastic stool and drinking slowly. He drank one after another, the cold beer sliding down his throat but failing to quench the smoldering tightness in his chest. He thought of their wedding 3 months ago and the envious looks from his friends. You're one lucky guy, marrying a beautiful cop. But they had no idea how hollow the marriage was. Though they lived under the same roof, they were like 2 tenants. Lin Ruoshua's life was filled with cases, clues, and suspects, leaving him with nothing but her exhausted back and rushed apologies. He didn't know how much time had passed, but then he saw the owner of a breakfast stall begin to set up. The owner of the late-night stall was packing up to close. He paid, grabbed his jacket, and returned home. The house was still empty. As soon as he was through the door, Jiang Muge kicked off his shoes and passed out on the sofa. He woke again at 2 in the afternoon. Lin Ruoshua was still not home. He picked up his phone. No calls, just 2 perfunctory messages. Sorry, new development in the case. Can't come home tonight. They had been sent at 6 m. Jiang Muge tossed the phone aside, rubbed his stiff neck, and decided to go out to cultivate a new hobby he'd developed since the wedding. Jiang Muge drove out to a river in the suburbs and took the fishing gear he bought 2 months prior from the trunk. He found a suitable spot, unfolded his chair, and started assembling his fishing rod. Just as he was about to cast his line, a familiar voice came from behind him. You can't fish here. Jiang Muge's entire body went rigid. He turned around slowly. Lin Ruoshua stood a few feet away, dressed in her police uniform, her expression stern. She had obvious dark circles under her eyes, clear evidence of a sleepless night. What are you doing here? Lin Ruoshua asked first. She took a few steps forward, her eyes falling on his complete set of fishing gear. And since when is fishing a hobby of yours? Jiang Muge found it laughable. He had bought all this gear a month into their marriage. It was one thing that she didn't care, but she didn't even know he had these things. Am I not allowed to be here? He asked, suppressing the emotion in his voice. But Lin Ruoshua still caught the sharp edge in his tone. We're in the middle of a case, Lin Ruoshua said, her voice strictly professional. I need you to cooperate. 3 months of pent-up grievances suddenly boiled over. Jiang Muge stood up and stared directly into her eyes. When do I not cooperate? I put up with this for 3 months. Lin Ruoshua's expression wavered slightly, but she quickly regained her aloof composure. I'm working, Jiang Muge. Don't make a scene here. A scene? Jiang Muge scoffed. I've been neglected at home for 3 months. I just wanted to come out and do some fishing. How was that making a scene? Lin Ruoshua felt wrong, too. Her own husband didn't understand her work and was now talking to her like this. Can't you be more considerate of my work? Her voice rose unconsciously. Considerate. Jiang Muge felt a sharp sting of pain. On our wedding night, you went out on a case. For 3 months, we haven't even had a normal married life. Every single date has been cut short by one of your calls. How much more considerate do you want me to be? Lin Ruoshua's face turned pale. Do you have to say these things here? Then where should we talk? At home? Have you spent a single full day at home since we got married? Jiang Muge's voice began to tremble. The surrounding police officers all stopped their work, frozen in place as they watched the arguing couple. This is your last warning, she said, lowering her voice. Leave now. Don't argue with me. Jiang Muge ignored her completely, gripping his fishing rod and casting a line out over the river. Lin Ruoshua's breathing grew ragged. She pulled a pair of handcuffs from her pocket, grabbed Jiang Muge's hands, and cuffed them. Seeing this, several of her fellow officers hurried over. Captain Lin, don't. Just let it go. Yeah, this could hurt your marriage. But Lin Ruoshua, in the heat of her anger, couldn't hear their advice at all. Jiang Muge said nothing. His expression was cold, and he refused to even spare her a glance. In a detention cell at the police station, Jiang Muge lay on a cold bench. The handcuffs had been taken off, but the red marks on his wrists were still a testament to what Lin Ruoxue had actually done. Right there by the river, in front of all her colleagues, she had arrested him and brought him to the station. Footsteps approached from outside the door, followed by a man's stern voice. "You were too impulsive. That's your husband, not some dangerous criminal." Jiang Muge recognized the voice. It was Zhang Zhongping, the captain of the Criminal Investigation Division. He was refusing to cooperate with our work. Lin Ruoxue tried to explain, her voice lacking its earlier conviction. "We searched the entire riverbank and found no clues. It wasn't the crime scene at all." Zhang Zhongping sighed. "Go and let him out. Talk things through, apologize. Marriage is not a game." The footsteps grew closer, and the door to the cell was pushed open. Lin Ruoxue stood in the doorway, her uniform wrinkled and messy. "You can go," she said in a low voice. Jiang Muge pushed himself up and walked silently toward the door, moving past Lin Ruoxue as if she weren't there. In the main hall of the station, several officers pretended to be busy with their work, but in reality, they were all sneaking glances at the couple. Jiang Muge collected his personal belongings, including his fishing gear. Lin Ruoxue followed behind him, stammering, not knowing what to say. "Honey, let's get a divorce," Jiang Muge said suddenly. His voice wasn't loud, but everyone nearby heard it. Lin Ruoxue froze on the spot, her mouth opening and closing, unable to form any words. "Don't be rash," Zhang Zhongping said, quickly coming over to mediate. "It's normal for couples to fight. Just go home and cool down." "That's right," another female officer chimed in. "Captain Lin's job is demanding, and she's under a lot of pressure. You should try to be more understanding." Jiang Muge looked at these colleagues of hers, all speaking up for her, and suddenly found it ridiculous. What did they know? Did they know what it felt like to spend his wedding night alone? Did they know the feeling of being neglected for 3 straight months? Did they know the heartbreak of watching his own wife handcuff him? Lin Ruoxue took a step forward and grabbed Jiang Muge's arm, her face deathly pale. "Honey, Jiang Muge pulled her hand away and gathered his things. "Don't be like this. I'm tired. I'll have the divorce papers drawn up." With that, he walked straight out of the police station. Lin Ruoxue just watched him walk away until he disappeared from sight. The curtains in the private room of the internet cafe were drawn tight, making it impossible to tell day from night. Jiang Muge rubbed his sore eyes as the computer screen turned gray again. He glanced at the time in the bottom left corner. 5:00 a.m. This was his 14th day in a private room at the StarCraft Internet Cafe. Jiang Muge stretched, his spine letting out a series of cracks. He picked up his phone and looked. No messages, no calls, no Lin Ruoxue. When he was hungry, he ordered takeout. When he was tired, he slept on the sofa. When he stank, he went to the staff lounge for a shower. The owner knew him, anyway. This kind of life was actually pretty great. There was a soft knock on the door, and the cafe owner, Uncle Wong, pushed it open and came in. "Xiao Jiang, I need to tell you something. The cafe is closing for a few days for renovations, starting this afternoon." Only then did Jiang Muge's gaze shift from the computer screen. "All right, I'll pack up." By noon, the internet cafe was empty of customers. Jiang Muge went to the restroom and splashed his face with water. He stood before the mirror, almost unable to recognize himself. Messy hair, with 2 huge dark circles under his eyes. His stubble had grown into a tangled beard. Jiang Muge packed his backpack and said goodbye to his sanctuary. Pedestrians hurried along the street, no one paying any attention to the disheveled young man. Jiang Muge wandered aimlessly. He didn't want to go home and planned to find another internet cafe that would take him in. Before he knew it, he had walked up to a foot massage parlor called Uezu Pavilion. Jiang Muge stopped. After half a month in the internet cafe, his whole body ached. A foot wash and massage seemed like a good idea. Besides, they offered lodging services, so he could crash there for another day. "How many in your party, sir?" the receptionist asked enthusiastically. "Just one." Jiang Muge glanced at the price list and casually picked the 888 yuan package. The receptionist saw this and smiled, but said nothing. She then led him into a room. Jiang Muge lay down on the single massage bed. A moment later, the door was gently pushed open, and a young woman in a high-slit cheongsam walked in. "Hello, sir. I'm technician number 18, Xiao Mei." A syrupy, sweet female voice sounded by his ear. "Let's begin." Jiang Muge closed his eyes, ready to enjoy the massage. The technician's hands were soft. She first washed his feet, then began to massage his calves. Jiang Muge gradually relaxed, the fatigue from the past 2 weeks slowly melting away. However, halfway through the massage, he felt something was wrong. The technician's body pressed closer and closer, 2 soft mounds brushing against his thigh, intentionally or not. Jiang Muge sat up abruptly. "What are you doing?" The technician gave a seductive smile. "You don't like it? I understand." As she spoke, she unzipped her cheongsam. The entire dress slid to the floor, and she stood before Jiang Muge, completely naked. Only then did Jiang Muge realize this was a massage parlor that offered illicit services. "Hurry up and put your clothes on. Just give me a proper massage. I don't want this kind of service." Just then, the door to the private room was kicked open, and several police officers rushed in. "Police! Vice raid! Don't move!" Jiang Muge's mind went blank with a buzz. The technician, however, squatted down with her hands on her head with practiced ease. At this sight, he knew he was screwed. It was like having mud fall into your pants. Even if it wasn't shit, it might as well have been. "Hands on your head, squat down," a police officer barked. Unable to argue his case, Jiang Muge could only comply, following a group of Johns and technicians to the police station. The station was chaotic. Tonight's vice raid had netted a lot of people. Jiang Muge squatted in a corner with the other men suspected of soliciting prostitutes, waiting to be interrogated. "Name?" A police officer came over and began to take down his information. "Jiang Muge. Age, 26. Occupation, unemployed." The officer looked up at him, seeming to think this disheveled young man fit the typical image of a John. "Where were you?" "What for?" "A foot massage." "Tell the truth. It really was just a foot massage." Leniency for confession, severity for resistance. Jiang Muge was utterly speechless. "I told you the truth, and you don't believe me. You just want me to admit to soliciting a prostitute, don't you?" Just then, the door to the interrogation room was pushed open. Jiang Muge looked up and froze when he saw the person who had entered. She was the last person he wanted to see right now. "Lin Ruoxue. You really went to a prostitute?" Her voice trembled slightly. "I didn't," Jiang Muge said, looking at her with exasperation. "I just went for a foot massage." Who knew the woman would just start taking off her own clothes? "So now you've learned to make excuses, have you?" Lin Ruoxue's voice suddenly rose. "Just because we don't have a sex life? Do you have to be so desperate? Would you sleep with just any woman you find?" She fired one question after another, her words relentlessly aggressive. Her words stabbed into Jiang Muge's heart like knives. He was already fuming. At that moment, he completely lost control of his emotions. "I already told you. I fucking didn't solicit a prostitute." His roar was like a thunderclap in the silent interrogation room, drawing the eyes of everyone around them. "Then what were you doing there?" Lin Ruoxue pressed on, refusing to back down. A few officers who knew of their relationship rushed over to pull them apart. All right, that's enough. Don't fight right now." Lin Ruoxue was pulled aside by her colleagues, her chest heaving violently, tears welling in her eyes. Jiang Muge was also pulled down onto a bench by several officers. "All right, Captain Lin, let's investigate first. Your brother-in-law might not have solicited a prostitute." Lin Ruoxue took a deep breath, forcing back the tears. Supported by a few colleagues, she left the interrogation room, her steps a little unsteady. Watching her leave, Jiang Muge suddenly felt an immense exhaustion. What was even left of this marriage? Besides hurting each other, it seemed there was nothing left. After several hours of interrogation, the police reviewed the surveillance footage from the foot massage parlor and the masseuse's testimony, which proved that Jiang Muge had indeed not solicited a prostitute. Jiang Muge walked out of the interrogation room, his face expressionless. He saw Lin Ruoxue sitting on a bench by the door, apparently waiting for him. Her eyes were red and swollen. She had clearly been crying. "I'm sorry, I was a little harsh earlier," Lin Ruoxue said, her voice soft. Jiang Muge didn't even glance at her, walking straight toward the exit. Muge, Lin Ruoxue caught up to him. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about. Let's just leave it at this, Jiang Muge said without turning back. Is it because of this misunderstanding? Lin Ruoxue's voice choked with a sob. I already apologized. Jiang Muge stopped and turned to face her, suddenly finding it laughable. Misunderstanding? You think this is only about this one incident? Our marriage has long been one in name only. We were over the moment you started focusing on your work and neglecting me. I hope you can sign the divorce papers quickly, so we can part on good terms. With that, he walked out the doors of the police station. Lin Ruoxue's cries came from behind him, but he didn't look back. That evening, Jiang Muge found another internet cafe to crash at. The character he controlled died again and again, but he showed no emotional response. Suddenly, the phone in his pocket began to vibrate. Jiang Muge took it out and glanced at it. It was a call from Lin Ruoxue. Without hesitation, he rejected the call. Less than 10 seconds later, the phone vibrated again. This time, after rejecting the call, Jiang Muge blacklisted Lin Ruoxue's number. After a while, the phone rang again. It was an unknown number. Jiang Muge tentatively answered. Muge, a voice both familiar and strange. Jiang Muge hung up immediately and blacklisted that number as well. In the office of the Criminal Investigation Division of the Municipal Public Security Bureau, Zhang Zhongping pushed a leave approval form in front of Lin Ruoxue. I've approved 2 weeks leave for you. Go sort out your marriage. Don't worry about the team's affairs for a while. Lin Ruoxue took the paper with trembling hands. Okay. Back home, the house was pitch black, cold, and empty. Lin Ruoxue wandered through the house. She hadn't been home since her fight with Jiang Muge by the river, having stayed away out of anger. The tables and windowsills were covered in a layer of dust. Clearly, Jiang Muge hadn't been home for the past 2 weeks either. She collapsed weakly onto the sofa, her gaze suddenly falling upon a document on the coffee table. She picked it up, her breath caught in her throat. The large characters for divorce agreement stared up at her from the first page. Trembling, she opened it. Jiang Muge had already signed his name. The date was exactly 13 days ago, the day after she had arrested him by the river. She hadn't thought Jiang Muge was serious. He really wanted to divorce her. At that moment, only one thought occupied Lin Ruoxue's mind. Find Jiang Muge, whether to go through with the divorce or to stay together. But when she tried to think of where to find him, she froze. She had no idea where to go. In the 3-odd months they'd been married, she had never even tried to truly understand Jiang Muge. His social circle, his hobbies, even what he did at home. She knew nothing about any of it. So his desire for a divorce wasn't a sudden impulse, but the result of disappointment piling up over time, she thought. A sudden idea flashed through Lin Ruoxue's mind. She grabbed her car keys and rushed out the door. Half an hour later, she arrived at Jiang Muge's parents' house. She stood before the door and hesitantly rang the bell. Jiang's mother opened the door and was visibly startled to see Lin Ruoxue. Ruoxue, what brings you here at this hour? Come in quickly. Mom, is Muge here? Lin Ruoxue asked directly, her voice tight. He's not here, Jiang's mother said, baffled. What's wrong? Did you two have a fight? Lin Ruoxue bit her lower lip. It seemed Jiang Muge hadn't told his parents about the divorce yet. She nodded, deciding not to tell them either. Yes, we had a fight. He hasn't been home in 2 weeks. The color drained from Jiang's mother's face. She quickly pulled Lin Ruoxue inside. Just then, Jiang's father came out of his room, and Jiang's mother briefly explained what had just happened. She then turned to ask Lin Ruoxue what had happened between her and Jiang Muge. Lin Ruoxue kept her head down, not knowing where to begin. That she always put her job first. That she had handcuffed her own husband. That in over 3 months of marriage, they'd had no intimacy. Everything made her feel unbearably ashamed. I'm sorry. As Lin Ruoxue spoke, she began to cry, her words trailing off into intermittent sobs. Jiang Muge's mother pulled her into an embrace, patting her back to comfort her. Seeing this, Jiang Muge's father decided to call Jiang Muge to find out what was going on. The call connected quickly. His father put on speakerphone so that both women could hear clearly. What is it, Dad? Where are you right now? Ruoxue says you haven't been home for half a month. Is she there with you? Jiang Muge asked, getting straight to the point. Jiang Mugei's father glanced at Lin Ruoxue and continued. Yes, you have no idea how much she's been crying. What happened between you two? There was silence on the other end of the line for a moment. Then, Jiang Mugei sighed and continued. It's nothing. I want a divorce. What? Both of Jiang Mugei's parents were stunned. They had never imagined he would actually want a divorce. His mother snatched the phone and said, What's wrong, son? Why the sudden talk of divorce when things seemed fine? Jiang Mugei had no desire to explain to his parents. They were always the type to push for reconciliation, not separation. Besides, even if he clearly explained the neglect he had endured in the marriage, it would be pointless. After all, these weren't mistakes of principle. They would only say, things will get better over time. Every family has its struggles. You shouldn't be so quick to talk about divorce. This whole idea that a difficult person need a patient lover, wasn't that just an excuse to torment the patient one? I just want a divorce. Nothing else. Jiang Mugei's mother knew her son was an obedient, gentle, and good child. For him to say something like this, something serious must have happened between the couple. Otherwise, he would never bring up divorce so lightly. So where are you? Get over to the house right away. Ruoxue is here, too. You two need to talk this out first. There's nothing to talk about. Just have her sign the divorce papers. Mugei. His father couldn't help but interject. Marriage isn't child's play. How can you just decide to end it like that? Jiang Mugei let out a cold laugh. In his eyes, this marriage was nothing but child's play. He no longer held back and gave them a brief summary of the neglect he had suffered for the past 3 months. He included the time she left to handle a case on their wedding night, the time she handcuffed him by the river, and how she had accused him of soliciting a prostitute based on mere suspicion. To all this, his parents simply said that Lin Ruoxue's job was special, that she was a police officer, so of course her work came first. As for the other 2 incidents, they said Lin Ruoxue knew she was wrong, that she should apologize, and a small fight was all that was needed. It certainly wasn't ground for divorce. Then, Jiang Mugei said, We haven't consummated the marriage. Jiang's father and mother were stunned upon hearing this. Lin Ruoxue averted her eyes, not daring to meet their gaze. The 2 elders turned their gazes to Lin Ruoxue. Although they said nothing, their eyes asked if it was true. Lin Ruoxue nodded. We haven't. Jiang's mother's mouth fell open, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Jiang's father closed his mouth, simply watching to see how the 2 women would resolve this. After all, it wasn't his place as a man to interfere in such matters, and Jiang Mugei wasn't there either. Lin Ruoxue continued to explain, I'm usually not home often, and when I do come back, I'm too tired. In short, it's all my fault. It has nothing to do with him. Jiang's mother softened her tone and continued speaking to Jiang Mugei. Son, this can be worked out. Actually, you can. She stopped mid-sentence, stunned herself. Neither of them had expected that they still hadn't consummated the marriage. In any case, this can't be your reason for divorce. It's bound to happen when a couple is together. Jiang Mugei knew this would be their reaction, but he didn't want a divorce just because they hadn't consummated the marriage. It was just that his parents' generation couldn't understand modern views on love and marriage. Let's just leave it at that. I'm tired. I don't want to be with her anymore. At this, Lin Ruoxue grew anxious and quickly staunched her tears. Mugei, I know I was wrong. Can we not get a divorce, please? I'll be good to you. My team gave me half a month of leave. How about we go on a trip together? Her voice grew smaller and smaller as large tears streamed down her face. Jiang Mugei sneered. It's meaningless. That's it. I'm hanging up. After the call was disconnected, Lin Ruoxue completely lost control of her tears. She staggered to her feet. I'm sorry, Dad, Mom, for bothering you, she said, preparing to leave. Seeing this, Jiang's mother quickly grabbed Lin Ruoxue's arm. It's so late, don't go back. Stay here for the night. Tomorrow, your father and I will go drag Mugei back. However, Lin Ruoxue knew that even if they brought Jiang Mugei back, it would only be a self-inflicted humiliation. It was better for the 2 of them to resolve the conflict between them on their own. It's all right, Mom. I'm going back. Jiang's mother wanted to say something more to keep her, but Lin Ruoxue was insistent on leaving, and she couldn't stop her. Lin Ruoxue sat in her car, without immediately starting the engine. She didn't know where to go, or what she could do to save her marriage, which was on the brink of collapse. All she could do was let her tears fall, drop by drop, onto the steering wheel. Jiang Mugu spent another half a month holed up in an internet cafe. He knew Lin Ruoshue's leave was over and that she should have returned to her team by now. He packed his things and walked out of the internet cafe. He planned to go back to their apartment to see if she had signed the divorce papers. If she hadn't, he would just print another copy until she did. Jiang Mugu didn't want to see Lin Ruoshue again, much less exchange a single useless word with her. The taxi stopped at the entrance of the residential complex, and Jiang Mugu slowly walked toward the familiar building. In the elevator, his reflection was cast on the metal walls. Messy hair, sunken eyes, wrinkled clothes. This appearance made him look like a completely different person from the high-spirited groom he once was. He opened the door and immediately saw a familiar figure curled up on the sofa. Lin Ruoshue seemed to have heard the door open as well and quickly sat up. Jiang Mugu froze in the doorway. He hadn't expected Lin Ruoshue to not have gone back to her team, but he quickly regained his composure. After all, he was here for a divorce. When Lin Ruoshue saw clearly who it was, without even putting on her shoes properly, she ran over barefoot and threw her arms around Jiang Mugu. "Husband, I was wrong. Can we please not get a divorce?" Her voice was hoarse and her eyes were red. Clear sign she had been crying for a long time. Jiang Mugu pushed at her. "Let go. We're over." But not only did Lin Ruoshue not let go, she pulled down her own shoulder strap, revealing her snow-white skin. She grabbed Jiang Mugu's hand and pressed it to her chest. "Let's consummate our marriage now, okay? Let's have a child, shall we?" Jiang Mugu snatched his hand back as if shocked. The scene before him was too absurd. The ever-meticulous Officer Lin was now disheveled, crying and pleading for his touch, like a desperate madwoman. "Put your clothes on," he said softly. Lin Ruoshue's tears streamed down her face. I don't want a divorce. I can transfer to another department, be a beat cop, take a desk job, or even resign." She was so choked with sobs, she could barely continue. "Just forget it. You're suited for this job. If you give up your career just to save our marriage, you'll end up hating me," Jiang Mugu said. "I don't need anything else. I just want you." Lin Ruoshue sobbed, drenching a large patch on the front of Jiang Mugu's shirt. "Stop this. We're not compatible. I'll draw up another divorce agreement. You can have the house. Consider it my compensation to you." As Jiang Mugu spoke, he turned to leave, but Lin Ruoshue threw her arms around him from behind, holding on for dear life. "I won't let you. You can't go." Her voice suddenly rose as she screamed hysterically. "I'll really change. The squad has given me 6 months leave. Can you just give me 6 months? Let me prove it to you." Lin Ruoshue had run out of options. All she could do was beg Jiang Mugu for one more chance. 6 months? Jiang Mugu scoffed. "And then what? Go back to the way things were. It's pointless. You're a great police officer, but as a wife, you don't make the cut." Jiang Mugu pried Lin Ruoshue's hands off him and walked out. Jiang Mugu was gone again. Lin Ruoshue had no choice but to go to her parents' house. When people feel helpless, they always seek support, and Lin Ruoshue was no exception. Her mother, still in an apron, opened the door and was visibly startled to see her daughter. "Why are you back so suddenly? You didn't even call ahead." She glanced behind Lin Ruoshue. "Where's Mugu? Didn't he come with you?" "He's not here," Lin Ruoshue said in a low voice, trying her best to suppress her sorrow. At the dining table, her father was eating. He, too, was clearly taken aback when he saw her. "What's wrong? Didn't Mugu come with you?" Lin Ruoshue sat at the table, took the bowl of rice her mother served her, and said after a deep breath, "Dad, Mom, Mugu. He said he wants to divorce me." The dining room fell dreadfully silent. Her parents were stunned. "What's going on? It hasn't even been 4 months, and you're getting a divorce?" her father asked first. Lin Ruoshue bit her lower lip and recounted the events of the past few months. Her parents' expressions shifted from concern to shock, and finally to an indescribable mixture of feelings. Her mother opened her mouth as if to say something, but didn't know where to start. Her father had worked his way up from being a detective himself. He knew very well the strain a detective's demanding and busy job put on a family. But he could never have imagined that his own daughter would prioritize her work to the point of completely neglecting her family. Her father wanted to say something, but in the end, he held his tongue. After all, a lecture would be useless. Sometimes, you only learn to cherish something after you've experienced losing it firsthand. So where is he now? Her father asked. Lin Roashua shook her head. I don't know. You sigh. Her father was furious that his daughter had let her marriage fall into such a state. She has no idea how to balance her work and personal life. Her mother, however, looked at her with concern. Ruashua, you're the one wrong here. How could you treat your husband like that? Muge is such a good man. If you just apologize and spend more time with him, things will slowly get better. The bond from being husband and wife, even for a day, runs deep. Mom, Lin Ruashua's voice trembled. We actually haven't. Lin's parents reacted just like Jiang Muge's parents. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Lin's father's mind exploded. He could never have imagined that his own daughter could be so careless about her marriage and family, that they didn't even have a normal life as a couple. Serves you right, he finally said. I know I was wrong. Lin Ruashu said helplessly, tears dripping on her clothes. Her father spoke, his face a mask of resignation. No matter what, you have to make some time to cultivate your life, to cultivate your marriage, to cultivate your family. I remember the night your mother gave birth to you. I was on a stakeout for a very important case. I didn't even make a single call or send a single message. I'd even forgotten how many months pregnant your mother was. It wasn't until several days after you were born that I finally rushed to the hospital. That's when I found out your mother's water had broken early. You were in a breech position, and she had almost died on the operating table. We nearly lost you both. Later, your mother developed postpartum depression. It took me a very long time to help her recover. Lin Ruashua looked at her parents. She had never heard this story before. It's not just about prioritizing work. You have to prioritize your life. Prioritize anything that has meaning to you outside of work. So, no matter how important your work is, you have to spare some energy for your family, even if it's just a little bit. Meanwhile, Jiang Muge was on a beach in a southern province, feeling the sea breeze. This was the 3rd month since he had left home, and the 7th day since he had arrived in this coastal city. Jiang Muge had long wanted to travel around the country. He kept saying he would find the time, but the plan was gradually put on the back burner. After getting married, he had planned to take Lin Ruashua with him, but that dream had burst like a bubble. Their marriage was on the verge of ending before it had even begun. Sunning yourself alone again? A gentle female voice came from above him. Jiang Muge pulled down his sunglasses to look at the speaker. Chun Jingwen, 28, a travel blogger whom Jiang Muge had met a month ago in Chuncheon, was standing behind him. Afterward, the two of them had traveled together for a while. The sun's about to set. Stop sunbathing. Come on, let's go get something to eat. As she spoke, Chun Jingwen casually sat down on his lounge chair, right next to him. Jiang Muge subtly shifted away from her and stood up. All right. Chun Jingwen had organized a dinner with a few other travel bloggers who were in the same city. At the dinner table, several people who knew both Jiang Muge and Chun Jingwen made flirtatious jokes, asking when the two of them were going to get together. The two of them simply played along with a smile, offering no response. After dinner, Jiang Muge was walking a drunk Chun Jingwen back to her hotel. Just as they reached the roadside to hail a cab, Chun Jingwen, who had been leaning on his shoulder, suddenly straightened up, her eyes much clearer. You're not drunk. How could I get drunk on just that little bit? I can hold my liquor better than that. She shook her head, as if to clear the last fumes of alcohol from her mind. Come on, take a walk with me. All right. The November nights in High Province were still warm. They walked slowly along the seaside promenade, the sound of distant waves crashing on the sand. They walked on like that, without a single word of conversation. Suddenly, Chun Jingwen stopped and asked, What do you think of me? Huh? Jiang Muge was taken aback for a moment, then decided to give a fairly balanced answer. You're great. Gentle, cheerful, beautiful, and very caring. Is that the kind of person I am in your eyes? Chun Jingwen gave a wry smile. What's wrong? Is something the matter? Jiang Muge could already sense what was about to happen and decided to be direct. Chun Jingwen suddenly turned around, looking directly into Jiang Muge's eyes. Her eyes were filled with expectation and gentleness, yet mixed with a hint of regret. Actually, I quite like you, Muge, Chen Jingwen said. Though her voice was soft, every word was distinct, and Jiang Muge heard her clearly. However, Jiang Muge didn't want to accept her confession, and not just because of his own soon-to-be over marriage. More than that, he didn't want to rush into a new relationship so soon. Actually, I'm married, Chen Jingwen said suddenly, beating him to it. Jiang Muge's eyes widened, as if he couldn't believe what he had just heard. What? My husband is a boss in the construction materials business. 8 years my senior, Chen Jingwen said calmly, as if she were telling someone else's story. Our relationship isn't good. He has countless mistresses. I've caught him several times, but it's useless. The evening wind suddenly turned cold. Jiang Muge didn't know how to react. So, what's your situation now? He does his thing, and I do mine. That's how it is. Chen Jingwen shrugged, her tone frighteningly casual, as if this were the most ordinary thing in the world. But her tone suddenly shifted as she took a step toward Jiang Muge. I was serious when I said I like you. I'm not just playing around. Jiang Muge took a step back, instinctively putting distance between them. Sister Chen, I'm very grateful for your companionship during this time, but too fast, Chen Jingwen asked, tilting her head. Jiang Muge neither confirmed nor denied it. He didn't know how to answer. I'm married to... Chen Jingwen burst out laughing, as if she had just heard a hilarious joke. Ha ha ha. Once she had calmed down, she asked again, so how is your relationship? Jiang Muge knew she was asking a question to which she already knew the answer. If their relationship were good, why would he be traveling alone, and why wouldn't he have refused a woman's kindness? Seeing that Jiang Muge didn't answer, Chen Jingwen asked again, so, do you still love her? This question made Jiang Muge fall silent. Judging by his own actions, he really didn't love Lin Ruoxue anymore. Signing the divorce papers, not going home. These were all the actions of someone who didn't love her. But this question seemed to have torn open the part of his heart he was most unwilling to face. He remembered the day they went to get their marriage certificate. Lin Ruoxue had deliberately worn her police uniform for the photo. Jiang Muge had thought she would wear a pretty dress or a white blouse, as that was what most people did. But she had said, I'm wearing this. Today is a very important day, and I want to be a little different. She had also pulled out Jiang Muge's custom-made suit and made him dress up formally, too. This was the only good memory left from their short marriage. The rest was nothing but apologies and arguments. Just as his parents had said, the issue between him and Lin Ruoxue was easily fixable. After all, it wasn't a matter of principle. She did love him. It was just that she was more devoted to her work. If she could have balanced her life and her job, Jiang Muge would likely have spent the rest of his life with her. But Jiang Muge was tired. He no longer wanted to work on this hopeless marriage with Lin Ruoxue. You're still thinking about her, aren't you? Chen Jingwen keenly sensed his hesitation. Even if your relationship isn't good. Maybe so, but that doesn't matter anymore. Jiang Muge's voice was low, perhaps only audible to himself as the airport broadcast announced flight information. Pulling his luggage, Jiang Muge stood before the security checkpoint to say goodbye to Chen Jingwen. He had been away for another 3 months, and the journey of the past half-year had left its marks on his face. He planned to put a definitive end to this marriage upon his return. If only neither of us were married, Chen Jingwen said suddenly. Jiang Muge just gave a self-deprecating laugh. Life isn't full of what-ifs. Yes, what's missed is missed, Chen Jingwen said, a bitter smile on her face. Over the past few days, her feelings for Jiang Muge had not faded. On the contrary, they had grown even more intense, even though he was not yet divorced, and she had not ended her own marriage. The broadcast for Jiang Muge's flight began, reminding him that it was time to board. Before he left, he hesitated for a moment, but still said, goodbye. I hope your life can still be happy and fulfilling. Chen Jingwen laughed again, though it was unclear what she found funny. Was it his words, herself, or perhaps Jiang Muge? What is that supposed to be? A curse or a blessing? Jiang Muge didn't answer directly, only saying, that depends on how you see it. Then, I hope your life can still be happy and fulfilling too. Chen Jingwen replied softly, a smile on her face. Her expression held no other complex emotions, only the poignancy of their parting. As he turned and walked toward the security checkpoint, Jiang Muge did not look back. He knew that some goodbyes required little ceremony, just as some marriages needed few reasons to end. The plane landed in the familiar city. Jiang Muge walked out of the airport, hailed a taxi, and gave the address he hadn't been back to in 6 months. Jiang Muge paid and got out. He stood at the gate of the residential complex, hesitating for a few seconds before walking to the door of the house he could no longer call a home. He inserted the key into the lock. With a gentle turn, the door opened. To his surprise, the apartment was spotlessly clean, filled with the signs of someone living there. A bouquet of fresh lilies sat on the coffee table, and sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains, casting soft patches of light on the floor. A faint, fresh fragrance hung in the air, with none of the mustiness of a place long left empty. Jiang Muge instantly realized that Lin Ruoxue was still living here. He had originally thought that after he left, she would have stayed in her police dormitory or moved in with her parents. Jiang Muge left his luggage by the door, not unpacking it. He sat on the sofa, looking around at the home that had once filled him with such anticipation. Their wedding photo still hung on the wall. The clothes and shoes he had left behind were just as they were when he left. If anything, they were even neater. He glanced at the time. For 32 p.m. Lin Ruoxue should still be at the station. She usually didn't get home until after 10 p.m., and sometimes not at all. Jiang Muge leaned back on the sofa to rest his eyes. Perhaps from the exhaustion of his travels, he drifted off to sleep before he knew it. The sound of a key turning in the lock startled Jiang Muge awake. He looked up and saw that Lin Ruoxue was home. Just then, Lin Ruoxue saw him. She quickly changed into her slippers, put down her shopping bags, and walked over to him. "Husband, you're back." As he stood up, Jiang Muge instinctively glanced at the time. It was only 6 p.m. He hadn't expected her to be home so early. As far as he could remember, this was a first. Lin Ruoxue saw the suitcase by the door, but said nothing about it. Instead, with the concern of a normal wife, she asked, "Are you tired from the journey? Have you eaten? I just bought groceries. I'll cook for you." "No need." Jiang Muge cut her off. "I'm here to talk about the divorce." Lin Ruoxue's smile froze instantly, but she continued as if she hadn't heard. "Let me get you a glass of water." "Are you thirsty?" "I'm not thirsty. I'm here to get a divorce." Lin Ruoxue, as if she hadn't heard the word divorce, said again, "Then I'll go turn on the water heater for you. You must be tired after a long day." "I said, I'm here for a divorce," Jiang Muge repeated. Lin Ruoxue froze on the spot. She stopped walking towards the bathroom and slowly turned around. "I don't want a divorce. I'm so tired of being with you. I don't want to go on like this. I can change." Lin Ruoxue looked up abruptly, her eyes already welling with tears. "Look, I can get off work at 6 now. I've even started growing flowers at home, and I've learned how to cook. I don't want a divorce." Her voice grew smaller and smaller, eventually turning into a sob as tears streamed down her cheeks and fell to the floor. Watching her cry, Jiang Muge felt a long-lost pang of pain in his heart. But more than that, there was weariness because this marriage had left him with almost no fond memories. "Ruoxue," Jiang Muge said suddenly, "you don't genuinely want to change. You're just afraid of losing. If I hadn't brought up divorce, would you have changed?" Those two short sentences made Lin Ruoxue's breath catch. It was true. She only knew she had to change when she saw the divorce papers. But Jiang Muge didn't stop. "Did you really have to wait until we reached the point of divorce to know you needed a change? What's the use of knowing to cherish something only after you've lost it?" Lin Ruoxue bit her lip, silent, her fingers tightly clutching the hem of her clothes. "If I hadn't brought up divorce, would you still be the same as before? Would I have to keep enduring a marriage of neglect?" Jiang Muge pressed on, each sentence like a knife cutting into her heart. "That's not it." Tears burst from Lin Ruoxue's eyes as she stepped forward and hugged Jiang Muge. "I really know I was wrong. Can you give me one more chance? Just one. Let's not torture each other anymore," he said softly. "There's no point in continuing. You're not happy, and I'm not happy. Let's just end it." Lin Ruoxue bit her lower lip, silent for a long time. before finally letting go of Jiang Muge. Wiping her tears with the back of her hand, she took a deep breath and said, "Fine. I understand. I'll sign the divorce papers." Jiang Muge hadn't expected her to concede so suddenly and, for a moment, didn't know what to say. "All right. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning." 8. Ever since finalizing the divorce with Jiang Muge a week ago, she hadn't been back to the bureau. That same afternoon, Lin Ruoxue had submitted a request for a leave of absence, wanting to rest for a while. Just then, there was a sudden knock on the door. Lin Ruoxue climbed off the sofa to open it. "Dad? Mom? What are you guys doing here?" Her mother took her hand, stroking the tear tracks at the corner of her eyes. "Look at the state you're in. How can we not come?" "I'm fine, Mom." Lin Ruoxue's voice was so hoarse it didn't sound like her own. Her father, her mother, and Lin Ruoxue sat down on the sofa. "We heard you got divorced and even stopped going to work," her father said, getting straight to the point. "I called your bureau chief yesterday. She said you put yourself on leave." Lin Ruoxue gave a slight nod, saying nothing. Lin's mother gently stroked her back. "Daughter, divorce isn't the end of the world. You're still young. You have to look forward." Lin Ruoxue shook her head. "I'm just tired. I want to rest for a bit. My whole life, all I've known is studying and work. I've never thought about what it's like to really live." Lin's father sighed. "Ruoxue, you can't go on like this. Your body will break down sooner or later." "I know." Lin Ruoxue shrank into herself. "Just give me a little more time." Lin's mother wanted to say more, but her father stopped her by shaking his head. They sat with their daughter for the afternoon, most of it spent in silence. Before they left, Lin's mother made a simple dinner and cleared away the trash in the living room. "Call us anytime if you need anything," Lin's mother urged at the door, her eyes filled with worry. Lin Ruoxue nodded, watching her parents leave. She was once again back in the empty house. The house was too big, so big that every corner seemed to echo with the memory of Jiang Muge. Lin Ruoxue lay on the sofa, curled up, and buried her face in the cushions. Silent tears began to fall once more. 9. Meanwhile, in a small coastal city 1,000 miles away, Jiang Muge sat at an outdoor cafe, gazing at the distant blue horizon. Ever since the divorce, he had fled to this city, where there were no traces of Lin Ruoxue. His daily routine was simple. Wake when he pleased, walk by the sea. He'd grab a bite to eat in the evening, and occasionally have a drink. No expectations, no disappointments. His life was like a pool of stagnant water, terrifyingly calm. "Jiang Muge," a familiar female voice called from behind. Jiang Muge turned to see Chen Jingwen standing a short distance away. She was wearing a white dress and a sun hat, and looked much thinner than the last time he had seen her. "What a coincidence, running into you again." Chen Jingwen sat down opposite him and ordered a latte. "So, how have you been?" she asked abruptly. Jiang Muge could only manage a wry smile. His life right now wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. "Just getting by. I got divorced. Just came out to clear my head," she said, taking a sip of her coffee. "You're divorced, too?" Jiang Muge asked, surprised. I am," Chen Jingwen said with a relieved smile. "I had proof he was cheating, so I got a good settlement. It was absolutely the right decision. I haven't felt this free and happy in a long time." Jiang Muge didn't say anything. His divorce wasn't like hers. He felt no sense of liberation, no relief, only a hollow, indescribable emptiness. "So what's next for you? Any plans?" "I'll just keep traveling," Chen Jingwen said, her gaze fixed on the distance. "There are so many places I still haven't seen." She laughed suddenly. "You know what? It wasn't until after the divorce that I realized just how big the world is. I had trapped myself in that terrible marriage for far too long." Jiang Muge nodded. He couldn't empathize. His world hadn't gotten bigger because of the divorce. On the contrary, it had shrunk, leaving nothing but memories. Perhaps it was just as they say. After a breakup, the first things you forget aren't the other person's voice or face, but their flaws. "You're still thinking about her," Chen Jingwen said sharply. It wasn't a question. Jiang Muge didn't deny it, choosing to take a sip of his coffee and avoid the question. "Since you can't forget her, why don't you go get her back?" Chen Jingwen said nonchalantly. Hearing this, Jiang Muge shook his head. Forget it. We're already divorced. And I was the one who initiated it. Chen Jinwen stayed with Jiang Muge for 3 days. They ate together, took walks, and chatted occasionally, but they both tacitly avoided the topic of relationships. On the morning of the 4th day, he took Chen Jinwen to the airport. I have to go to the next city. Thank you for your company these past few days. No need to thank me. We're friends, after all, Jiang Muge said with an awkward smile. Chen Jinwen looked at Jiang Muge's hollow eyes and echoed the words she had said when she saw him off on a plane last time. I hope your life can still be happy and fulfilling. Jiang Muge froze for a moment after hearing this, then laughed bitterly. Then I'll just take that as your blessing. Watching Chen Jinwen's retreating figure, Jiang Muge suddenly realized that he and Chen Jinwen were actually very similar. They were both using travel to wash something away. The difference was, Chen Jinwen wanted to wash away the scars left by her painful marriage, while he was trying to wash away his lingering feelings for Lin Ruoxiu. But it seemed the more he tried to wash, the more there was. The lanterns lining both sides of the street were as red as fire, swaying gently in the cold wind. With the spring festival approaching, the city was adorned in festive cheer. Lin Ruoxiu was carrying New Year's goods on her way to her parents' house. Just then, a married couple walked past her. Between them was a little girl of about 4 or 5, skipping along. The couple held the child's small hands, one on each side, the 3 of them talking and laughing. The little girl held a stick of cotton candy, her little face rosy, beaming with a happy smile. Lin Ruoxiu couldn't help but slow her steps, her gaze following the family of 3. If only she tried to make things work with Jiang Muge back then, wouldn't they have had a child of their own by now? A child who looked like Jiang Muge in her. They would call her Mama in a sweet, childish voice and stumble into her arms for a hug. The thought was like a fine needle, piercing the softest part of her heart. She subconsciously quickened her pace, hurrying to escape that heartwarming scene. The New Year's Eve dinner at her parents' house was tasteless to her. Although Lin Ruoxiu forced herself to be cheerful, watching the Spring Festival Gala, making dumplings and saying auspicious phrases, her mind had already drifted far away. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, she followed her parents to visit several relatives, mechanically repeating pleasantries like Happy New Year, may you be prosperous, and wishing you good health. On the way back, Lin Ruoxiu was driving and passed by the apartment complex where Jiang Muge's parents lived. Seeing the warm, yellow light shining from a window, she couldn't help but wonder how Jiang Muge had been doing recently. After getting home, Lin Ruoxiu sat on the sofa in a daze. She didn't even react when her mother called her. Her mother could tell at a glance that something was on her mind. She had sensed that Lin Ruoxiu had slowed down when they passed Jiang Muge's parents' building on the way back. She knew her daughter was definitely still thinking about Jiang Muge. But she didn't say much. After all, matters of the heart couldn't be forced. The next morning, Lin Ruoxiu woke up very early, but her mother, a habitual early riser, was already up before her. Are you going out? Without turning her head, Mother Lin asked. Lin Ruoxiu was stunned for a moment, but didn't argue. Yes, I'm going to pay New Year's visits. To his parents' house, I suppose, Mother Lin said, seeing right through her. Lin Ruoxiu lowered her head, like a child who had done something wrong. Yes, just to pay a New Year's visit. To her surprise, Mother Lin didn't try to stop her. Go on, then, and wish them a Happy New Year for us, too. Lin Ruoxiu's eyes welled up. She nodded happily. Okay. Arriving at the door of Jiang Muge's parents' home, Lin Ruoxiu hesitated and paced for a while before finally ringing the doorbell. After a while, no one came to the door. Lin Ruoxiu tried ringing twice more, but still there was no answer. She could only turn back to leave. But just then, Jiang Muge's parents happened to step out of the elevator. They had just returned from their own New Year's visits. Ruoxiu, Mother Jiang, was the first to react. Why didn't you call ahead before coming? Your father and I could have prepared something. Lin Ruoxiu froze at her words, not expecting that despite the divorce, they still saw her as a daughter. She was a little nervous, stammering, I just came to wish you a Happy New Year. Mother Jiang opened the door and pulled her inside. Well, come on in and we can talk. Lin Ruoxiu followed Father and Mother Jiang into the apartment. It still looked familiar. She took the tea Mother Jiang poured for her and glanced around, wanting to ask where Jiang Muge was. But just then, the door opened, and the person she had been thinking of day and night walked in. Jiang Muge had just parked downstairs and had taken his time coming back up. He looked up, and his eyes met Lin Ruoshua's. He froze on the spot. Time seemed to freeze in that moment. "Long time no see," Jiang Muge said, as if waking from a dream, the first to break the silence. His voice was soft, yet it struck Lin Ruoshua's heart like a heavy hammer. Yes, long time no see. So long she had almost forgotten how pleasant his voice sounded. So long she thought she had already moved on, only to fall apart at the moment of their reunion. "You too. Long time no see," she responded with difficulty, her fingers gripping the teacup tightly, afraid they would tremble uncontrollably if she loosened her hold. Mother Jiang, having just finished washing fruit in the kitchen, came out and saw the scene. She quickly pulled back Father Jiang, who was about to walk into the living room and ruin the atmosphere. Suddenly, only Lin Ruoshue and Jiang Muge were left in the living room. Silence stretched between them like an invisible wall. Jiang Muge sat down on the armchair to the side. Lin Ruoshue stared at the ripples in her tea, not daring to look directly into Jiang Muge's eyes. Before coming, she had imagined this reunion countless times, prepared countless ways to respond. But now that they were truly face to face, she was too nervous to say a word. "How have you been recently?" She took a deep breath, about to summon the courage to look at him directly. As it turned out, Jiang Muge was looking right at her, asking the very same question. Their gazes met in mid-air for an instant before they both looked away. "I've been doing well," Lin Ruoshue said quickly, then added, "And you?" "I've been well too," Jiang Muge replied. The atmosphere between them fell silent again. Lin Ruoshue summoned her courage again, trying to find another topic. "What are you doing now? What are you doing now?" Jiang Muge said it at almost the same time. They both turned their heads away again at the same time. It's unclear who chuckled softly first, but the other followed suit. "Well, you go first." Jiang Muge turned his head back first. His tone as gentle as it was when they first met. "I'm still the deputy captain of the Criminal Investigation Detachment. I just delegate some cases to my colleagues now, unlike before when I had to handle everything myself." Lin Ruoshue organized her words before saying, "And you? What are you doing now?" Jiang Muge organized his thoughts. "I'm still not working. When I have nothing to do, I just visit other cities, travel around and stuff." Lin Ruoshue nodded in affirmation and subconsciously blurted out, "I know." Jiang Muge was taken aback for a moment. "Huh? What?" She instantly realized what she'd said and quickly shook her head. No, I don't know. That, I know, was something she often said when she was with Jiang Muge. Her tone used to be very perfunctory. Every time Jiang Muge spoke to her, it was always, "Okay, I know." Jiang Muge just gave an awkward smile. "It's okay, you know now." This gentle smile reminded her of how he was before they were married. He was just as gentle then. That was why she had been willing to marry him. Lin Ruoshue's face instantly flushed bright red. She immediately stood up. I have something to do. I should get going." Jiang Muge also stood up. "Let me walk you out." Lin Ruoshue waved her hand dismissively. "No, that's not necessary." Jiang's mother, who had been eavesdropping for a while, hurried out from the kitchen. "Ruoshue, why are you leaving already? You could at least stay for a meal." Lin Ruoshue refused again. She could barely hold it together. A moment ago, she didn't dare to look at Jiang Muge's face. Now, she was too embarrassed to look at it. "Then let Muge walk you out. It's freezing cold out there. It's always good to have some company." This sentence was full of deeper meaning, and it was unclear who Jiang's mother was saying it to. In the end, she agreed. The elevator descended slowly. Lin Ruoshue kept her head tilted, not daring to look directly into Jiang Muge's eyes. The distance from the elevator to her car was only 100 or 200 meters, but it felt as long as 1,000 or two. Along the way, Lin Ruoshue didn't say a single word. It wasn't until she was in the car that she said bye-bye. After the spring festival, Jiang Muge stayed at his parents' house. His original travel plans were postponed indefinitely as he began to enjoy this simple, quiet life. Perhaps from lazing around at home for too long. During this period of continuous spring rain, he had been cooped up at home without much activity, and his muscles all over felt a bit stiff. "I should go get a massage," he muttered to himself, and started searching for nearby foot bath parlors on his phone. Having learned his lesson from last time, Jiang Muge was extra cautious this time. He scoured the reviews on all the major platforms and finally chose a high-end foot bath city with a 4.9 rating. The comments section was filled with praises like professional, legitimate, and great service. Jiang Muge followed the GPS navigation into the lobby of the place called Bishui Pavilion. Looks pretty high class. It should be legitimate, he thought to himself. After ordering a package at the front desk, Jiang Muge specifically asked, "Do you have any special services here?" The young woman at the front desk gave him a strange look and replied in a professional tone, "Our establishment does not provide the special services you mentioned." "Good, that's good." Jiang Muge breathed a sigh of relief, took the room key card, and went into the room. After changing into a robe, he lay face down on the massage bed. Soon, there was a knock on the door. Then a beautiful female technician in proper attire walked in. "Hello, I'm technician number 18, Xiaoyu." The massage technique was indeed professional, and Jiang Muge's tense muscles gradually relaxed. Just as he was about to fall asleep, he suddenly felt a pair of hands undoing his belt. "What are you doing?" He abruptly turned over and sat up. The beautiful technician blinked her charming eyes. "Boss, do you prefer it a bit more proactive?" As she spoke, she began to unbutton her own clothes. Jiang Muge quickly spoke up to stop her from undressing further. "Stop it. I don't want this kind of service." "Don't be shy, boss," the female technician said, slowly closing in. "You specifically asked about special services. The front desk already arranged it." Just as the two were struggling, the door was suddenly kicked open. "Police! Vice raid!" A few uniformed police officers rushed in. History repeated itself. In the police station's interrogation room, Jiang Muge sat on a cold chair, answering the officers' questions. "Name?" "Jiang Muge." "Age?" "Occupation?" "Unemployed." The officer interrogating him looked up, thinking he looked familiar. "You again? We brought you in last year too, didn't we?" Jiang Muge was speechless. Who would have thought he'd fallen into the same trap twice? Just then, however, the door to the interrogation room opened again, and a familiar figure stood in the doorway. "You can go." The officer looked at Lin Ruoxue and said in a low voice, "Captain Lin, this isn't standard procedure." Lin Ruoxue handed him a file. "Here's the evidence and the procedure you need." The officer took it, glanced at it, and said, "All right, you can go." Jiang Muge stood up, completely bewildered, and walked out in the same daze. Thank you." Although Lin Ruoxue had that valiant and heroic air, in front of Jiang Muge, she reverted to being a young girl. "You're welcome," is what I should have done. Just as Jiang Muge finished signing the papers and was about to leave the police station, Lin Ruoxue suddenly called out to him. I'm getting off work soon. Would you want to get dinner or something?" Jiang Muge nodded and said, "Okay." When it was time to get off work, Lin Ruoxue had changed into a blue turtleneck sweater and a long white skirt. For a moment, Jiang Muge was stunned. He remembered this outfit. It was what she had worn on their blind date. "Let's go," Lin Ruoxue said softly. They found a restaurant with great food, service, and atmosphere, and enjoyed their meal. After dinner, seeing it was still early, they went to see a recently released movie. By the time the movie ended, it was already 10:30. Lin Ruoxue gently declined Jiang Muge's offer to call a car. After all, this was their first real date, and she wanted to spend a little more time with him. "Let's take a walk. It's not far anyway." "Okay." They walked side by side on the empty street, their shadows stretching and shrinking under the streetlights. Their hands brushed against each other unintentionally several times, but they never held. Suddenly, not paying attention, Lin Ruoxue tripped on a raised stone and stumbled forward. Quick as a flash, Jiang Muge caught her by the waist, steadying her. "Are you okay?" He looked down and asked, only to find Lin Ruoxue's face just inches away. He could even feel the warmth of her breath. Lin Ruoxue looked up at him, her eyes wide, her lips trembling slightly. Then, she slowly closed her eyes. Jiang Muge stared, stunned, at her lips so close to his. This hadn't been his intention, but the mood had been set. He slowly lowered his head and gently pressed his lips to hers. The kiss was light and brief. Her lips were softer than he remembered. When they parted, Lin Ruoshue's face was as red as a ripe apple. She stole a glance at Jiang Muge and saw that his face was red too. Um, this time, it was Jiang Muge's turn to stammer. Muge, can we start over? Starting with dating, Lin Ruoshua said suddenly. Jiang Muge looked at her innocent, girlish appearance and suddenly remembered the cold, assertive policewoman from their blind date. The Lin Ruoshua of today had learned to show vulnerability, to express herself, and to balance her work and life. Okay, and so they began their official romantic relationship, dating at least once a week. Sometimes it was a high-end restaurant, other times a street food stall. Sometimes they'd watch a newly released blockbuster. Other times they'd just curl up on the sofa watching old movies. Lin Ruoshua learned to give advance notice when she had to work overtime. And Jiang Muge developed the habit of sleeping and waking up early every day. On an early summer night, a gentle breeze blew into the apartment through the half-open window. An old movie was playing on the television. Lin Ruoshua snuggled in Jiang Muge's arms, her cheeks slightly flushed from the alcohol. You've changed, Jiang Muge said suddenly, his fingers gently caressing her shoulder. Lin Ruoshua looked up at him. How have I changed? Jiang Muge looked into her eyes and smiled. You've changed, and I like you even more now. Lin Ruoshua pretended to pout and said, So you didn't like me before? Jiang Muge gave her a kiss. I like you before, too. It's just that I like you even more now. Lin Ruoshua cupped his face and kissed him back. You've changed, too. You become gentler. Jiang Muge looked down at her, and this time, Lin Ruoshua didn't avert her gaze. It's unclear who moved first, but their lips met in a gentle touch. What began as a tentative brush soon deepened into a passionate kiss. As if she had made up her mind, Lin Ruoshua wrapped her arms around Jiang Muge's neck and whispered in his ear, Carry me to the bedroom. Jiang Muge froze for a moment, pulling back slightly. Are you sure? Lin Ruoshua nodded gently. I'm sure. This isn't about making up for the regrets from our wedding. It's because I truly like you. I like you so much. Jiang Muge took a deep breath, swept her up into his arms, and gently laid her on the bed. Just as they were about to take things further, a shrill ringtone suddenly shattered the silence. They both froze. Lin Ruoshua looked at Jiang Muge, then at her phone. It's okay, go ahead, he said. It might be something important. Lin Ruoshua hesitated for a moment before getting up, grabbing her phone, and stepping aside. Okay, I understand. I'll be there tomorrow morning. That's it, bye. When she returned to the bedside, Jiang Muge looked surprised. You're not going. Lin Ruoshua shook her head. It's fine. The suspect confessed. I told my colleagues on the team to get the statement ready, and I'll handle it tomorrow morning. So, no one will be disturbing us tonight? Jiang Muge asked, looking at her expectantly. Lin Ruoshua answered his question with a kiss. That night, two souls once separated were reunited. They promised never to be apart again. A month later, Jiang Muge and Lin Ruoshua stood at the altar once more. This wedding was much grander than the last, with many more guests, and their bond had grown even stronger. At the wedding, when the officiant asked, Do you take for richer, for poorer? They looked deeply into each other's eyes and, speaking into their microphones at the same time, answered, I do. After exchanging rings, Jiang Muge cupped Lin Ruoshua's face and gave her a long, passionate kiss, drawing enthusiastic applause and whistles from the guests. After the wedding reception, Lin Ruoshua walked out of the hotel, arm in arm with Jiang Muge. I've taken a month off work. Let's go on our honeymoon, said Lin Ruoshua. Have you thought it through? I have. Halfway through their honeymoon, while washing up in their beachfront hotel in the Maldives, Lin Ruoshua suddenly felt a wave of nausea. Ugh, cough, cough. Jiang Muge rushed over, concerned. What's wrong? Are you okay? Lin Ruoshua looked up into Jiang Muge's eyes, her hand instinctively resting on her lower abdomen. A thought flashed through Jiang Muge's mind. Really? Lin Ruoshua shook her head. I'm not sure, but I missed my period this month. Then should we go to a hospital to get it checked? Good. In the hospital's ultrasound room, the doctor pointed to a tiny speck of light on the screen. Congratulations, you're going to be parents. Lin Ruoshua gripped Jiang Muge's hand tightly. That tiny on the screen was so small, yet it carried all their love and hope. Looks like our honeymoon will have to end early, Jiang Muge said. Sorry, it seems our baby is in a hurry to meet Mom and Dad, Lin Ruoxua said, touching her still flat belly. It's okay. Jiang Muge held her hand. We have a lifetime ahead of us anyway. Extra story 3 years later, during the spring festival, red lanterns hung along the streets, and cheerful music played on loop in the supermarkets. Jiang Muge and Lin Ruoxua walked slowly down the bustling street, each holding one of their daughter's hands. The little girl was 2 years old, with 2 tiny pigtails tied to the back of her head and rosy cheeks. In her hand, she clutched a fluffy pink cotton candy. Daddy, sweet, she chirped in her baby voice, standing on tiptoe to offer the cotton candy to Jiang Muge. Jiang Muge bent down and took a small bite. Wow, it really is sweet. The little girl giggled, then turned to offer it to Lin Ruoxua. Mommy, eat too. Lin Ruoxua crouched down and took a small bite as well. So sweet. Satisfied, the little girl pulled back her hand, licked the cotton candy herself, and skipped ahead happily. Jiang Muge watched his daughter's joyful steps, then glanced at Lin Ruoxua, noticing her staring into the distance. Following her gaze, he saw another couple holding hands with their little girl. Just like them, the family of 3 walked along, chatting and laughing. Jiang Muge squeezed her fingers. What are you thinking about? Lin Ruoxua snapped out of her thoughts and looked at her husband and daughter, a faint smile on her lips. Nothing. Just thinking. It's so good. Jiang Muge stepped forward and kissed Lin Ruoxua on the lips. Lin Ruoxua instantly flushed red, instinctively glancing around. What are you doing? We're in public. Unbothered by her scolding, Jiang Muge only felt overwhelming happiness. So what? You're my wife. What's wrong with a kiss? Just then, their daughter turned around and saw them. Immediately, she shouted, Daddy kissed Mommy. So embarrassing.